The Book of Exodus. Exodus is the escape from Egypt. It is God's great exploit in the Old Testament, setting out from a place of slavery to go towards the promised land. God frees his people with great power, a strong hand, and an outstretched arm, which means striking with mighty blows and opening for them a way through the sea. Exodus is the heart of the Old Testament and make it fully relevant in presenting to us a God who frees humankind. This book has given the Jewish religion and later Christian faith a first orientation, making them different from all other religions. God does not primarily come in order to be respected or to indicate spiritual paths, but rather to choose a people who will allow Him to act at the heart of human history. God reveals Himself to Moses because He wants to create a nation for Himself, and it will be Israel. The Gospels and Christians did not recognize in Jesus another Moses who launches a new venture, and in this book, they will try to discover symbols of what they are living in the church. Crossing the Red Sea is baptism. The rock from which the spring of water gushes is Christ. The covenant on Sinai anticipates the new covenant. In any case, we must not forget how the first experience and the significant event all began. The Exodus is first and foremost the liberation of slaves, and it is the choosing of God of Israel people, a genuine liberation which concerns the whole human reality, individual and social. God frees those who He wants for Himself, and Christian liberty will be far removed from what Western culture understands by that word. Exodus and history. The narrations of Exodus abound in beautiful stories that are quite different from what we would have observed had we been there at the time. Great frescoes have been painted, but we would like to know what history would say of them. All is situated around 1240 BC, a little more than 5 centuries after Abraham. In the 5th century before Christ, the Egyptians had been conquered by invaders from Canaan who allowed entry into their country to numerous nomads from the desert. After 2 centuries, the Egyptians managed to restore their own kings, and from that point on, the nomads were treated with far less consideration. Many fled to avoid taxes or enforced labor. Some were banished, others escaped under the darkness of night. It is in this context that Exodus is situated. A nomadic group pursued by an Egyptian army detachment is saved by God through an extraordinary intervention. The Israelites saw the Egyptians lying dead on the seashore. Moses, a prophet, led the fugitives and interpreted for them this event. Yahweh, the only God, had chosen them to be his people. Moses and his followers were to remain a long time into the oasis of Sinai, and it was there that Moses would give them Yahweh's law. History then is found in Exodus, but Exodus relates much more, and it is there that history in its modern meaning may not agree with it. For this book is not the work of one author, but rather the result of a long evolution and has been marked by the different ways of recording history in ancient times. We have mentioned one of these ways in commenting on chapter 35 of Genesis. History listened to in groups that passed in on orally that past story of their clan. In this way, the family has been made up with Moses, his father-in-law, Jethro, or Reuel, Aaron, brother of Moses, and Miriam, sister of Aaron, and prophetess. There is the memory of links established between Moses and leaders of prophets of other clans. In the same way, Mount Sinai has been identified with Mount Horeb and the Mount of God, clearly various holy places, certain traditions of which have been confused. Very different is the way history is recorded by the Jewish priests who have given this book its definitive form at the time of the Babylonian exile. They developed an old memories in order to assert not what had been, but the way the people of Israel should see its past and understand itself. In doing this, they showed their contemporaries a way of being the people of God and bearers of history. From there comes the vision of an immense nation already formed, organized, which has its sanctuary in the desert, its priests, and its foundries that will produce the golden calf. This formidable nation walks as one people, nourished by manna for 40 years. It receives its laws, which is, in fact, will only be observed 5 or 6 centuries later. This entire nation leaves Egypt armed to conquer the promised land. The living God of the Exodus. So here we are facing a double history, one of science and one of which has formed the conscience of Israel and of Christians. The first shows us how God, in fact, became part of the greater history. It tells us that his action has been very discreet, and we discover his very patient pedagogy. The second helps us to realize who we are and what we can fully become in Christ. However, we must not totally separate the two, as if all the narration of Exodus was no more than fiction. Let us read a few pages. Never would they have been written, and never would they have put weight on the conscience of a nation if they were not a true witness, witness of those who were with Moses and whose experiences were surely exceptional. Otherwise, never would there have been either the prophets or the gospel, witness of those priests or prophets who later would write them. For they too had experience of the living God, the Savior of Israel. And because of this, they have passed on to us the fire that was lit on Sinai. Exodo. Ang ibig sabihin ng Exodo ay pag-alis at tumutukoy ito sa pinakamahalagang pangyayari sa kasaysayan ng Israel, ang pag-alis sa Ehipto na sumakop sa kanila. May 4 na bahagi ang aklat. Una, ang pagpapalaya sa mga Hebreo mula sa pagkaalipin. Pangalawa, ang kanilang paglalakbay patungo sa bundok ng Sinai. Pangatlo, ang pakikipagtipan ng Diyos sa kanyang bayan. Ibinigay sa kanila ang mga kautosang moral, sibil, at panrelihiyon upang maging gabay sa pamumuhay. At pang-apat, ang pagtatayo ng dakong sambahan at paglalagay ng mga kagamitan dito at ang pagbibigay ng mga tuntunin tungkol sa mga saserdote at sa pagsamba sa Diyos. Higit sa lahat, inilalarawan ng aklat na ito kung ano ang ginawa ng Diyos nang palayain niya ang Israel at gawin silang isang bansa. Ang pangunahing tauhan sa aklat na ito ay si Moises, ang lalaking hinirang ng Diyos upang pangunahan ang kanyang bayan sa paglaya mula sa Ehipto. Ang pinakabantog na bahagi ng aklat ay ang 10 utos na nasa kabanatang 20. Exodus chapter 1. The Hebrews increase in Egypt. Here are the names of the sons of Israel who came to Egypt with Jacob, each with his family: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. These descendants of Jacob numbered 70 in all. Apart from these, Joseph was already in Egypt. Then Joseph died, as did all his brothers and all that generation. The sons of Israel were fruitful and kept increasing to such an extent which they multiply and grow in strength that the land teemed with them. The Hebrews reduced to slavery. Then a new king who had not known Joseph came to power and said to his people, "The Israelites are more numerous and stronger than we are. Let us deal warily with them, lest they increase still more, and in case of war, side with our enemy, fight against us, and escape from the land." So they set taskmasters over them to oppress them with forced labor. In that way, they built the storage towns of Pithom and Rameses. But the more they oppressed the Hebrews, the more they increased and spread until the Egyptians dreaded the Israelites and became ruthless in making them work. They made life bitter for them in hard labor with bricks and mortar and with all kinds of work in the fields. In all their work, the Egyptians treated them harshly. Then the king of Egypt gave orders to the Hebrews' midwives, one of whom was called Shiphrah, and the other Puah, that when they attended Hebrew women who were on the birth stool and saw that it was a boy, they were to kill it. But if it was a girl, they were to let it live. But the midwives feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt commanded, but let the children live. The king called the midwives and said, "Why have you acted like that and let the children live?" The midwives replied, "Because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women. They are vigorous and give birth even before a midwife arrives." God blessed the midwives, and the people increased and became even more numerous. Because the midwives revered God, he made them mothers of families. Pharaoh then gave this order to all the people: "Every infant boy born to the Hebrews must be thrown into the Nile, but every girl may live." Exodo chapter 1. Ang pang-aapi sa mga Israelita. Ito ang mga anak ni Jacob na kasama niyang pumunta sa Ehipto, pati ng kani-kanilang sambahayan: sina Ruben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Isakar, Zabulon, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad at Aser. Sila'y 70 lahat. Si Jose ay malaon nang nasa Ehipto, at namatay si Jose, ang kanyang mga kapatid at ang kanilang salinlahi. Ngunit mabilis ang pagdami ng mga Israelita, kaya't sila'y naging makapangyarihan at nalaganapan nila ang buong lupain. Lumipas ang panahon at ang Ehipto'y nagkaroon ng ibang hari na walang anumang alam tungkol kay Jose. Sinabi niya sa kanyang mga kababayan, "Nanganganib tayo sa mga Israelita. Sila'y patuloy na dumarami at lumalakas pa kaysa atin. Kailangang gumawa tayo ng paraan para mapigil ang kanilang pagdami. Baka tayo salakayin ng ating mga kaaway at umanib pa sila sa mga ito, at pagkatapos ay umalis sa ating lupain." Kaya't naglagay sila ng mababagsik na tagapangasiwa upang pahirapan ang mga Israelita. Ipinagawa ng Faraon sa mga ito ang mga lunsod ng Pitom at Rameses, lunsod na tinggalan ng mga pagkain at kagamitan. Ngunit habang sinisikil, lalo namang dumarami at lumaganap ang mga Israelita, kaya't sila'y kinapuotan at kinatakutan ng mga Ehipsyo. Dahil dito, ang mga Israelita ay lalong sinikil at pinahirapan ng mga Ehipsyo sa paggawa ng tisa at ng iba't ibang mabibigat na gawaing bukid. Isang araw, ipinatawag ng Faraon sina Sifra at Puwa, ang mga hilot na nagpapaanak sa mga Hebreya, at tinagubilinan ng ganito: sa pagpapaanak ninyo sa mga Hebreya, kung lalaki ang bata, patayin ninyo. Ngunit dahil sa takot nila sa Diyos, hindi sinunod ng mga hilot ang utos ng hari. Hindi nila pinatay ang mga sanggol na lalaki. Dahil dito'y ipinatawag sila ng hari at tinanong, bakit hindi ninyo pinatay ang mga sanggol na lalaking isinisilang ng mga Hebreya? Mangyari po, iba ang mga Hebreya sa mga Ehipsya. Madali po silang manganak, kaya nakalabas na ang bata kung datnan namin, sagot nila. At hindi napigil ang pagdami ng mga Israelita. At ang mga hilot naman ay kinalugdan ng Diyos. Pinagkalooban niya sila ng sariling sambahayan. Iniutos naman ng Faraon sa mga Ehipsyo na itapon sa ilog na Nilo ang lahat ng lalaking isisilang ng mga Hebreya at bayaan lamang mabuhay ang mga babae. Exodus chapter 2. Moses saved from the river. Now a man belonging to the clan of Levi married a woman of his own tribe. She gave birth to a boy, and seeing that he was a beautiful child, she kept him hidden for 3 months. As she could not conceal him any longer, she made a basket out of papyrus leaves and coated it with tar and pitch. She then laid the child in the basket and placed it among the reeds near the bank of the Nile. But the sister of the child kept a distance to see what would happen to him. Now the daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe in the Nile. Her attendants, meanwhile, walked along the bank. When she saw the basket among the reeds, she sent her maidservant to fetch it. She opened the basket and saw the child, a boy, and he was crying. She felt sorry for him, for she thought, this is one of the Hebrew children. Then the sister of the child said to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you? Pharaoh's daughter agreed, and the girl went to call the mother of the child. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take the child and nurse him for me, and I will pay you. So the woman took the child and nursed him. And when the child had grown, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, who agreed adopted him as her son. And she named him Moses, to recall that she had drawn him out of the water. Moses discovers his people. After a fairly long time, Moses, by now a grown man, wanted to meet his fellow Hebrews. He noticed how heavily they were burdened, and he saw an Egyptian striking a Hebrew, one of his own people. He looked around, and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. When he went out the next day, he saw two Hebrews quarreling. Moses said to the man in the wrong, why are you striking a fellow countryman? But he answered, who has set you prince and judge over us? Do you intend to kill me as you killed the Egyptian? Moses was afraid and thought, what I did must be known. When Pharaoh heard about it, he tried to kill Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in the land of Midian. There he sat down by a well. Moses in Midian. A priest of Midian had 7 daughters. They came to draw water and fill the troughs to water their father's sheep. Some shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses went to their help and watered the sheep. When the girls returned to their father Reuel, he asked them, why have you come back so early today? They said, an Egyptian protected us from the shepherds, and even drew water for us and watered the sheep. The man said, where is he? Why did you leave him there? call him and offer him a meal. Moses agreed to stay with the man, and he gave Moses his daughter Zipporah in marriage. She had a child, and Moses named him Gershom to recall that he had been a guest in a strange land. God remembers Israel. It happened during that long period of time that the king of Egypt died. The sons of Israel groaned under their slavery. They cried to God for help, and from their bondage their cry ascended to God. God heard their sigh and remembered his covenant with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. God looked upon the sons of Israel and revealed himself to them. Exodo chapter 2. Ang pagliligtas kay Moises. May mag-asawang buhat sa lipi ni Levi na nagkaanak ng lalaki. Napakaganda ng bata kaya 3 buwang itinago ng ina. Nang hindi na ito maaaring itago pa, kumuha siya ng isang basket na yari sa tangkay ng tambo at pinahiran ng alkitran. Pagkatapos, isinilid niya rito ang bata at inilagay sa talahiban sa gilid ng ilog. Ang ate naman ng bata ay lumagay sa di kalayuan upang tingnan kung ano ang mangyayari. Maliligo noon sa ilog ang anak na babae ng Faraon. Natanaw niya ang basket kaya't ito'y ipinakuha sa kanyang katulong na naglalakad-lakad naman sa tabing ilog. Nang may abot sa kanya ang basket, inalis niya ang takip nito at nakita ang batang umiiyak. Naawa siya at kanyang nasabi, "Ito'y anak ng isang Hebreya." Ang kapatid naman ng bata ay lumapit sa prinsesa at kanyang sinabi, "Kung ibig po ninyo, ihahanap ko kayo ng isang Hebreyang mag-aalaga sa batang iyan." "Sige, ihanap mo ako," sagot ng prinsesa. Umalis ang batang babae at tinawag ang kanyang ina. Nang dumating ito, sinabi ng prinsesa, "Alagaan mo ang batang ito at uupahan kita." Kinuha ng ina ang bata at inalagaan. Nang malaki na ang bata, dinala siya ng kanyang ina sa prinsesa at siya'y itinuring na anak nito. Sinabi niya, "Napulot ko siya sa tubig, kaya Moises ang ipapangalan ko sa kanya." Tumakas si Moises. Nang binata na si Moises, dinalaw niya ang kanyang mga kababayan at nakita ang hirap na tinitiis ng mga ito dahil sa mabibigat na gawain. Nakita pa niyang sinasaktan ng isang Ehipsyo ang isang Hebreyo. Lumingalinga siya. Nang walang makitang tao, pinatay niya ang Ehipsyo at ibinaon sa buhangin. Nagbalik siya kinabukasan at may nakita siyang 2 Hebreyong nag-aaway. Tinanong niya ang may kasalanan, "Bakit mo sinasaktan ang kapwa mo Hebreyo? Sino ang nagbigay sa iyo ng kapangyarihang mga siwa at humatol sa amin? Papatayin mo rin ba ako tulad ng ginawa mo sa Ehipsyo?" Ganting tanong nito sa kanya. Natakot si Moises nang marinig niya ito at noon niya nalaman na may nakakita pala sa ginawa niya sa Ehipsyo. Nakarating ang balita kay Faraon, kaya ibig niyang ipapatay si Moises. Ngunit nakatakas at nakarating sa Madian. Pagdating sa Madian, naupo siya sa tabi ng isang balon. Dumating naman ang 7 anak na babae ng saserdote roon upang sumalok ng tubig at painumin ang kawan ng kanilang ama. Ngunit may dumating na mga pastol at binulabog ang mga tupa. Nakita ni Moises ang pangyayari kaya sinaklolohan niya ang mga babae at tinulungang magpainom sa kawan. Maagang nakauwi ang mga babae kaya tinanong sila ng ama nilang si Ruel, "Bakit maaga kayo ngayon?" "Mangyari po, ipinagtanggol kami ng isang Ehipsyo laban sa mga pastol. Isinalok niya kami ng tubig at pagkatapos pinainom pa niya ang kawan," sagot nila. "Nasaan siya? Bakit din ninyo isinama rito at nang makasalo natin sa pagkain?" Sunod-sunod na tanong ng ama. At ipinatawag nga niya si Moises. Mula noon, doon na nanirahan si Moises at napangasawa niya tuloy si Zipporah na anak ni Ruel. Dumating ang araw na si Zipporah ay nanganak ng isang lalaki. Gersom ang ipinangalan sa kanya ni Moises
sapagkat aniya, ako'y dayuhan dito. Pagkalipas ng mahabang panahon, namatay ang Faraon, ngunit inalipin pa rin ng mga Ehipsyo ang mga Israelita, kaya't dumaraing sila sa tindi ng hirap. Narinig ng Diyos ang kanilang daing at naalala niya ang kanyang tipan kina Abraham, Isaac at Jacob. Nakita niya ang kalagayan ng mga Israelita at siya'y nahabag sa kanila. My dear viewers, I vowed to read the Bible, no matter how busy life could be. I wanted to do it with you. That's why I came up with the idea of recording it every time I read the Bible so that you may also just even listen to it when you do not have time to read. That in this activity, may God be with us, and to Him be the highest honor, glory, and praise in the reading of His holy scriptures. Bye, viewers. Until next time, God bless you.